What's up everyone, Patrick here, welcome back. Moving on to the next question dealing with valuation. So you have just won a contest and have 4 different choices for the prize below. So these 4 choices here. And what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to rank the choices if the interest rate is either 5% or 7%. So the 4 choices are: you can get $3,000 today, you can get $3,200 in 1 year, $4,000 in 4 years, or $4,500 in 7 years. And so notice that all of these are in different time frames. So what we want to do to compare them is bring them to the same time frame. And what we're going to do is we're going to present value all of them, bring them to time 0. So $3,000 today, notice that that's already in time 0. Today is time 0. However, this 3,200, it's happening in 1 year. So what we got to do, we got to present value that to time 0, see what the value of that prize is today. And I'm going to show you how to do it both ways, manually and with the financial calculator. So starting off manually, the way we would set this up is we would take 3,200 and divide it, discount it by 1 plus the interest rate, 5%, 0.05, and that would be to the power of 1. Right, so this calculation would give us the present value of this price. And then same thing here, we'd have the 4,000, that's what the future value is, same interest rate, but that's happening in 4 years, so we got to discount that by 4. And then this one, 4,500, is happening in 7 years, so we would take this, discount it, same interest rate, by 7 years. And when you do those calculations, these are the respective values that you would get. And so now that we have everything present valued at time 0, we can now compare them. And what we want to do is we want to pick the largest prize. So out of 3,000, 3,048, 3,291, 3,198, this here is the largest prize. So with an interest rate of 5%, this would be number 1. Then this here, prize D, would be number 2. And then prize B would be number 3, and then prize A would be the lowest, number 4. Right, so that's what the rankings would be. Now that's how you manually do it. If you wanted to get these values with the financial calculator, so the inputs, basically all that would be changing for each of them is the future value. Actually, no, the N would be changing, I just realized as well. So the PV you'd be solving for, the PMT would be 0 for all of them, the interest rate would be 5 for all of them, but for example, for this first one, you would put 3,200 over here, and then the N would be 1, right? Discounting it by 1 year. And when you compute that, you should get 3,048. For this one, the future value, for example, would be 4,000, and then the N would be 4. Right? And then when you compute the present value with those inputs, 3,291 you should get. And then for this last prize, 4,500 would be the future value. And then the N would be 7. Everything else stays the same. When you compute the present value, you should get 3,198. Right, so that's with an interest rate of 5%. These are the rankings here. Now, what if the interest rate is 7%? Well, pretty much everything is going to stay the same. These values are going to change here, but in the calculations, everything's going to stay the same. All that's going to change is we're going to have, instead of 0.05, we're going to have 0.07 in all of these. The present value of 3,000 is still going to stay as is. That's still today. It's just all we got to do for all of these is change that interest rate from 5% to 7%. And once you do those calculations, these are the respective values that you can get. So what we want to compare, these circled amounts and then the 3,000. So starting with the highest amount out of these, 3,052 is going to be the highest amount. So that's going to be number 1. Then 3,000 is going to be the next one, right? Both of these are in the 2,000s. Then this one, prize B, is going to be number 3, and then prize D is going to be number 4. And so the rankings, notice how the rankings change with a different interest rate. And then same thing with the financial calculator. If you wanted to get these values, the inputs would be the exact same as before. It's just this interest rate would now be 7. So you'd be adjusting the future value and then the n. 3,200 would be the future value, and then 1 would be n to get this value, to get that PV. For this one, you'd put 4,000 here, then the n would be 4. For this one, you'd put 4,500, and then the n would be 7. Compute PV, you'd get 2,802. Right, so if you get a question like this where they're asking you to rank certain prizes or certain cash flows, what you want to do, you want to present value all the cash flows to time 0 and then rank them accordingly.